Live from Studio 8A, coverage you can count on in high definition. This is KOMU 8 News, first at 5.
We've been following the powerful explosion at the Boston Marathon this afternoon. It appears the marathon has become the target of possible terrorism. At least 2 are dead and 22 injured, and those numbers could change throughout this evening.
We've been following that explosion all afternoon. Good evening. I'm Brittany Pieper.
And I'm Angie Bailey. As reports of that explosion started to unfold this afternoon, we started searching for local people who were running in that Boston Marathon.
As reports of the explosion started to unfold, we started to look for those people, and we are now joined with Carlene Swan. She spoke to a few runners about their experience.
I actually spoke with 3 of the 7, all in Boston for the marathon. The 7 women in the group are all okay. 5 of the women were in the hotel when the explosion happened. Another runner had just finished the race when the blast hit. Becky Bond, a local resident, was a half-mile from the finish line when authorities stopped the remaining runners because of the explosion.
One of our friends came upstairs after she finished and said that there were 2 explosions at the finish of the race. She had just finished and was walking through and had heard the explosions and came directly to our hotel, which is less than a mile from the finish.
Initially thought maybe it was something part of the race, like, that they were doing some kind of, cannon or some type of explosion that they had controlled. But then when everybody turned and saw massive black smoke, and then there was another explosion pretty much immediately after that, and then panic kind of set in, and everybody had us quickly start moving the opposite direction and trying to rush us away.
All the neighborhood people came out. They went out and got water. They got trash bags for us to stay warm with. They gave us water and aspirin, and everyone was trying to comfort everybody. It was very nice because it was scary.
KOMU 8's Dan Kennedy is standing by with all of the names of the local runners in the race.
He also had an interactive look at where the explosions actually took place on the course. Dan.
Yeah, good afternoon. First up, we're actually going to show you this list. It's a list of all 16 entrants that we were able to find from Columbia. This is on the Boston Marathon's website if you want to take a look yourself. The youngest is 29, the oldest 66. We were also able to find 1 runner from Fulton and 1 from Jefferson City. Now I want to show you a look at the course layout. It's a standard marathon distance, 26.2 miles long. And if you look at this map, you can see where it ends, where the explosion took place right at that green square, 26 Boylston Street. If you've ever been to Boston, that's about a mile away from Fenway Park, which the runners pass at mile marker 25. And the New York Times put together an interactive map today to kind of break this down, show you where the explosions took place. The first happened at about 3 o'clock on the north side of Boylston Street. That's just before the bridge that marks the finish line. 550 feet away, you see where the second explosion was. That happened about 10 seconds later. And now we can also confirm a third reported explosion at JFK Library, but just about 30 minutes ago, we learned from Brian Williams that that is unrelated and perhaps an electrical fire. That was about 5.5 miles away from the other explosions. Coming up tonight at 6, I'll show you how the internet is helping track down loved ones. Brittany, back to you.
Breaking news out of Jefferson City today as the Department of Revenue Director resigned over what his department did with some of your private data. KOMU 8's Garrett Berquist joins us live from the Capitol with the latest developments. Garrett.
Department of Revenue Director Brian Long resigned today after just 4 months on the job. His resignation comes after testimony revealed his department handed over a list of all of Missouri's concealed carry permit holders to the Highway Patrol, which then gave that data to the Social Security Administration. This comes as part of a larger controversy over how the department handles your private data. Starting this year, you have to provide a birth certificate, proof of residency, such as a utility bill, and a Social Security number every time you reapply for a state ID. That data is scanned into a central database. The department never told anyone about this change and says it is meant to combat fraud, but lawmakers are already pushing legislation to ban this practice and dismantle the database. Governor Nixon has appointed Deputy Director John Mullenkamp as acting director. Mullenkamp testified in hearings last week, as well as Long and other Department of Revenue personnel. Long's resignation comes just hours after Highway Patrol Superintendent Ron Waplogle said he would not resign despite the controversy. Governor Nixon's office and the Department of Revenue refused to comment further for this story. Reporting live from the Capitol, Garrett Bergquist, KOMU 8 News.
We had two cold fronts moving through mid-Missouri for your Monday afternoon. KOMU 8 First Alert Weather Team will continue to keep you posted on this system. Back to you.
Thanks, Rosie. And more local news. The Miller County Sheriff's Department is now saying there was that the death on Thursday was a burglary in a vacant home that was caught on fire. KOMU 8's Eric Hilt is live with more information on that.
As you can see by the yellow caution tape on this tree, investigators have been investigating this house for the cause of the fire and any foul play. And then Miller County Sheriff Bill Abbott confirmed to me today that he believed that this was a burglary gone wrong that resulted in a fire that killed Brent Comer. Reporting live in Eldon, Eric Hilt, KOMU 8 News.
The Columbia City Council could table a big construction project yet again tonight. The Parkside Estates developer is asking the City Council to table the proposal for a housing development on Route K of the Old Plank Road until May 20th. KOMU 8's Marie Mandelberg is here in the studio with more. And Marie, tell us what the reason is behind this second delay.
The developer's attorney submitted this letter to City Council about the topic. The letter states that circumstances have come up that require more time, but it does not say what those circumstances are. According to the City Planning Office, Southside Trail Estates attorney and Missouri State Park staff members have been talking about changes to the proposal. I talked to one city planner, and he says the planning staff is waiting for details on the new proposal. He says the location of the plan created some debate.
I think several people had different things. Each group may have had something that it liked or disliked about it. Overall, it's difficult to develop right next to a state park without ruffling someone's feathers.
Now the City Council could allow.
Thanks so much for joining us. We're going to jump back in with the network coverage now of the bombings at the Boston Marathon. We'll have a lot more for you as the evening progresses and information's available. Thanks for joining us.